Hey guys, welcome back to Heavenly Minded Homemaker. So I have Sherry. She has Journey Through the Seasons on Instagram and YouTube. Super excited because a question that I get asked a lot is, that sounds like a great idea, that sounds awesome, I have special needs kids, so how do I do that? And I don't feel equipped to answer that question because I don't. So I don't want to speak out on something that I'm completely ignorant of. Like, I think a lot of the principles of minimizing and a simple homeschool and things like that definitely carry over and can be helpful, but I don't want to speak out and say these things because I don't know. And I think that's just ignorant of me to be like, well, this is how you should do it, and then everything goes together. So Sherry and her family were up at our house for the weekend to enjoy, and I said, you know what, I'm totally going to hold you hostage and make you do this video with me, and then you can kind of explain just your family, what you're dealing with, what you're doing, and kind of walk us through some of these just situations and things that you come up to with being a homemaker, with homeschool, with all of this stuff, and dealing with a special needs child. And I get that it's different. Not every child, I mean, even kids that have the same condition that they're dealing with doesn't mean that the same thing applies to every kid under that topic. But you're much more qualified to talk on this than I am, but I know that there's so many families. I mean, this is a question that I get asked quite regularly over the years. And again, I just feel awful to try to answer because I'm like, I think these things would definitely carry over and help, but I don't want to be speaking on something ignorantly, you know? So why don't you tell us about your family, your daughter, what she had, kind of give us where you're coming from.
So we are a family of four, myself, my husband, and my two girls. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old. The 12-year-old was born with epilepsy. She actually has several different forms, and all of which are rare forms of epilepsy. It's been a crazy, crazy ride, but they both started out in public school because I didn't feel equipped to take care of Kimmy alone. I didn't feel equipped to take care of her at all. So, I just was like, I'm just going to send them to public school and let the special needs
because clearly they're going to know what she needs.
So she made it through. I took Selena out in 6th grade, and I took Kimmy out in 3rd grade. But it really doesn't matter because they didn't do in public school. They didn't really give her a grade level per se. So I just wasn't seeing progress with Kimmy. So I just said, I think it's time. I really felt the calling. I was like, you know what? I feel like if I pray about this, God will equip me with whatever I need to do to take care of her. So
did you still really doubt yourself when you started?
Absolutely.
Even though you weren't seeing progress.
Nervous wreck, with
the public school, doubting yourself and your ability to.
Right. And I began to see other special needs moms doing it, and I would watch YouTube videos and they were doing it, and I was like, man, I've got to be able to do this. God gave us everything we need to teach our children.
Sure. And God obviously always knew that your daughter, that Cammie would be born with and have these things, and you and your husband would have to deal with that. I mean, he always knew that. Right.
So for Cammie, she is not anymore, but she was extremely delayed. Not just due to epilepsy, but also due to prolonged seizures, being in the hospital and having to be, on several medications and put into a medically induced coma, all of the things, just to stop some seizures. So
how often was she having them?
So up until she was 6 years old, she was having them almost daily. Wow. And she was having all different varieties of seizures at that point. So up until she was 6 years old, they didn't really technically know what the term was that she has, but she has PDE. So she has pyridoxine-dependent epilepsy, which was the first thing that they found out she had. And then shortly after that, they found out she has mesial temporal sclerosis, which is another rare type of seizure or type of epilepsy. So all that said, we're on our 3rd year of homeschooling. And our first 2 years was dedicated to adjusting to Cammie and Selena's needs to how they learned, what they needed, what made them thrive, what they enjoyed, but also they were learning from, and just learning their different learning styles and trying to, the first year, if I'm being completely honest, it was all of the, like, I got to watch people on Instagram. I've got to, my homeschool has to look exactly like that. Completely messed all that up. Realizing
and you're stressed out.
Yes, because it makes it, you're like, it doesn't look like this. Why doesn't it look like this?
We're doing something wrong.
Right.
What am I doing wrong?
So obviously I knew in my head, I'm like, okay, it can't be real. This can't be real. Yeah. People's houses can't look, Does
your day really look like? Well, that's why I always say
peaceful.
These people that have like 8 kids, everything is white. And I'm like, this is not real. It cannot be.
No. So took a year, and second year in, I really did feel defeated. I was very close to sending Kimmie back because I felt like I wasn't giving her what she needed. But then it was probably halfway into the second year, I realized very quickly that she was progressing way more than she was in public school. We also, right. And we went through this whole battle also in the first year and a half of building her self-esteem back up. That was one of the bigger struggles. For me, I was struggling with myself, but in reality, it was also her struggling with her insecurities that she had built up in public school. And that's really the reality of things. Her trying to, realize that she is smart, and that, if she misses one, it's okay. If she forgets to put a period somewhere, if she misspells a word, or she's struggling reading, it's okay.
Doesn't mean you're dumb and something's wrong with you and you can't get it.
Because in public school, they take stuff away.
They do. And there's a deschooling process for anyone. So any of you that have had kids in public school and then you bring them home to homeschool, you have like a deschool process that the whole family really has to go through.
Right.
So I can only imagine that process with a child who has special needs has to be even more intense and difficult possibly than with a child that, let's just take that ideal child that did great at everything and had no issues, which I don't think those kids really exist. But just in theory, looking on the sides of the spectrum, that's a lot to take on. Like you said, I know you've said before with her, she likes rhythm and routine. Right. Things go a certain way, and now all of a sudden you flipped everything. Totally. Like already you went from her being a child at home to starting school and flipped everything on her. And then you're like, never mind, we're coming home doing it this way. That's a hard process, I'm sure, to just maneuver.
Absolutely. So just discovering over that time that, nothing, and it actually took me deleting a lot of Instagram accounts that I was following. A lot of the expectations that I had set for myself, I had to throw completely out of the window and say that my children are unique to our family, and I'm going to have to do this from scratch. And I'm going to have to pray about it. And I'm just going to have to let God, guide and lead us and direct us and all the things.
Because there's that comparison trap that you get into.
Absolutely. I was so trapped in it. Literally trapped in it because I couldn't take my mind out of the process. Like in the midst of it all, like I had Selena on online schooling, public schooling, because I didn't want to go back to public school. She didn't want to go back to public school. But at the same time, I felt like I was like deserting her, which is, another struggle for anybody who has special needs kids. The sibling a lot of times ends up deserted. And
that was one of my questions. I was going to ask that.
Yeah, they end up getting deserted. And that was, I spent many nights in tears just crying because I couldn't give Selena what I was giving Kimmie.
But yet you couldn't give Kimmie any less because she needs it. So how do you balance the things?
Yeah. So balancing it ended up being where, if I'm working with Kimmie, which I have to sit with Kimmie, Kimmie is she very much so needs somebody sitting next to her while she's working, to encourage and to, just say you're doing a good job, just to cheer her on. And that, again, I think stems from public schooling. They kind of just leave you to do what you need to do. And then if you do something wrong, there's the consequences and discipline. Yeah. And then if you do something right, there's nothing. But we just had to find a rhythm that worked for us. And for us, we didn't find that rhythm until, even this year. Yeah. And what it turned out to be was that I found Heidi's videos and literally it had to be, the way that I found her YouTube videos, I typed in minimalist homeschool and literally minimalist homeschool came up. So I was like, wow, like
That's crazy.
this is what we need. This has got to be what it has to. It has to be this, because if I am making it, if we're not finishing homeschool till 4:00 because I'm trying to fit in all of the things, and I'm not saying that I'm not still learning, because I'm still learning a lot about the whole minimalist thing, but because it's kind of like rewiring your brain.
It is, yeah, it really is
To
a
think
process. I think
it's really okay to be minimal,
because you're like, well, what about all the things?
Right.
What if I miss something? What if they don't know this? And it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that's so different than anything else that we do.
Yes.
And no
Way
homeschool
different.
curriculum wants to sell you with, just do what's simple. Just do what you need to do. Like, because that's not good for business to say you don't need all the stuff, all the things, all the programs. If it works for you and your family loves it, awesome, enjoy it.
Right.
That's cool. It never worked for mine.
Yeah.
I would try to force it, and it would cause a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm. And then, like you said the other day, it ends up in us being frustrated and us getting to a place where we're unhealthy and we can't even, be good wives or any of the things, because it all comes together and it's all a part, it's all part of homeschooling. Like, you have to juggle all the things, but you have to do it in a healthy way. And the only way that you can do that, most of us can do that, is by making it minimal and focusing on the things that really do count.
Yeah.
So that's what ended up working out for us. We, I would like to say that I'm completely just using the, the Heavenly Mind Homeschool Curriculum. However, we added some things for Selena, because she has, she's 14, she has goals. Her goals, she wants to be a veterinarian, but also, as speaking with, as I spoke with Heidi, trying to make sure that's not idle for her, trying to make sure that that's not her only focus, that, she is, leaves margin for God to use her and however he wants to use her.
But that's why I like having things so simple, so you have that space in your room to do what you want to do. Like, I know for us, I would buy these curriculums and I would invest so much in them that I was like, oh, we're doing them.
Mm-hmm.
But then the kids were like, but I want to pursue this. I want to pursue that. Like, I really enjoy this. Or little ones, they just want to play, know? And it's like, but we have to do all of the things. There's no way we can fit that in. And then I'm like trying to block in all of the things. Like, for us, when we share, we use our curriculum, obviously, because I wrote it for my kids. Right. But they have then other things that they go off and they pursue that I don't write into the curriculum. They're not part of it. Right. They're things that my kids enjoy doing, but it's not part of it. How do you think you pull all of that together? Have you always stayed at home with your kids, or did you work outside the house? I've always been at home. There's been like maybe a block, like of maybe 6 months that I worked. Outside of that, I felt the calling that I needed to stay home with my girls. That was just something that it was a goal for me. It was something that, I wanted to do. Now, in the beginning, I didn't really feel like I was equipped to be able to do that, like financially. Yeah. But, I just shortly came to realize, like, what's more important, money or being with my kids, and me investing that time in them. And then, just kind of praying about it. God, like, I feel like I need to be home with my kids. And, what does that look like for us? That looks like, okay, we can't eat out all the time. Or that looks like, we can't go to the movies, or, whatever the case may be. But investing that time with, in them, and showing them how they can have fun outside of those things. Yeah. So we were just trying to have fun with them and hike them all around our property, and then at the end of it, the puppy stirred up a whole wasp nest, yellow jacket nest, and now everybody's been stung to bits and pieces. So, yeah, you can see. She's got one. It's not a nasty anything. It's a sting. So we got home and we were sitting here. I'm like, so did we still want to film that video now that everybody has been stung to death by these things? Poor puppy's like laid out. She got stung so much. Yes. But we were having fun and enjoying the great. Yeah, and learning a lot. And that's the thing. Like, you learn so much just being out there, like just looking around and seeing all the things that God created. You can learn so much. Learning's everywhere. Just that little bit. Hold on 1 second. Give us just a minute. No, give us just a minute, please. Thank you. Go sit down. After dinner, we'll feed you, I promise. So in doing all of the things homemaker-wise, you said that you didn't feel equipped for that either. Do you feel just like with the things that you knew Cammie was going to need, that you just couldn't juggle all of the things? Or how do you think just being a keeper at home in general, you have to adjust or change or move? Is there anything like that you've noticed that you've had to to work through just to make sure that you're creating an environment for her that she can thrive in while balancing
Structure is the biggest thing, and I am the farthest from a structured person that there is.
It's not my natural state.
It is not at all. My mom used to get on to me all the time. You need to have some sort of schedule, and even still to this day, I am struggling. But it's little baby steps. But Kimmy thrives with structure. It is what it is, and Selena, she thrives with, instructions. Like, I have to sit down with her. I've explained with her, this is this, and this is what I need you to do. And, because she can't just look at a blank piece of paper and be like, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
So, so for Kimmy, it's structure. For Selena, it's detailed instructions, and that is not easy.
You're like,
trying to change how I am.
Yeah.
But also, to accommodate Kimmy and be, because I think if we find out what our children thrive in, then obviously we're going to get, we can get somewhere. So back to minimalism, that's how we did it.
Yeah.
The only way that I could structure a day for her that, would work for all of the family was to be minimal about it. To say, okay, like, we're not going to do all of the subjects, and that's completely fine, because what is my child, and you people, anybody who has a special needs child knows, you can look at your child as somebody who they're never going to thrive, whatever. Or you can say, like my daughter, it breaks my heart, but I know that she wants to be a mother. And so whatever I can do to equip her to be able to be that when she's older, then I'm doing something correct. Yeah. So, as we go through the day, it's adding in, okay, you want to cook your breakfast. Can you help me wash the dishes? Can you load the dishwasher? I mean, not putting limits on them not labeling them, okay, well, you're special needs, so you can't do these things. Yeah. No, it's, Kimmy, I know you can do that. So could you please go load the dishwasher, or go load the washing machine or the dryer or whatever the case may be, and showing her that she can do that, because then that builds their self-esteem to say, wow, I did that, and then you say, good job. See, I told you, I knew you could do it. Like, if you don't have confidence in your child, then they're not going to have confidence in themselves. So,
and I think often those types of things are overlooked in a child's education across the board, even removing special needs. But I think it's even more important with the child who is struggling with the stuff like that. We might look at it as just a simple kind of meaningless task, but washing dishes, loading a washing machine, knowing if something breaks, how to fix it. Something's dirty, how to clean it, but how to truly do a job that is worthwhile, and then to build up to where there could be things that's her task, feeding the dog, whatever, right? That's your task that you get to do, and that's a help and a benefit. But like a true something, like, it's one thing to give them little jobs that aren't actually helping you, right? Like, they don't actually contribute to anything. And it's like, great, you said I did a good job, but I know it's not actually doing anything. Right. But to give them stuff that is working along with the family and doing stuff that is genuinely helping the family dynamic, absolutely. I think that's really important.
Yeah. It absolutely is. And
it's
everything.
Life skills that we need. That's
everything.
Education.
If I can teach her that, she's equipped to be able to, cook her own meals, and teach her how to eat healthy foods, and, clean and fold laundry and all of the things, then guess what? She's equipped to be a mother, because guess what? I don't put limits on her. Like, I'm not going to put a limit on her because, she has epilepsy. So some people say, you can't be a mother when you have epilepsy. I don't think that that's true. I think that, there's a possibility for that. So.
And that is just like the sweetest. Okay, so we adore your family. The first time you guys came up to visit with us, when you guys left, our girls were just like ecstatic over your girls. And they've been asking ever since, when are they coming back? When are our friends coming back? Can we play? Can we play? And so they had their first sleepover last night, and all of the girls, it's just like the cutest thing ever to see them all. They're so excited. And when you said that is her, if she can be anything when she grows up, she wants to be a mother. And I was just like, melt my heart. That is like the sweetest thing.
First time she ever said it, I cried, but I was just like, okay, that's my fire. My kid wants to be a mom. So, buy you all the baby dolls, teach you how to swaddle, teach you, all of the things, like how do you make your husband's plate, all right, we're going to make daddy's plate. That's first. Like,
Yeah.
let's serve daddy.
Yeah.
That's all a part of being a homemaker and being a wife and a mother. And so,
and
is
you're
math
teaching her
important?
by your
Sure.
example,
Yeah.
right? And you're showing her how math and reading and these different things play into doing it.
Mm-hmm. And how do we make that important to her? Okay, so because for her in her mind, what is education? Why do I need this? But she wants to read to her baby dolls. Mm-hmm. So her free read time is she'll set out all her stuffed animals and she reads to them. And I give her an easy reader so that she's confident in that.
Read confidently.
So that's her fun reading time.
So cute.
She loves it. She absolutely loves it. So, and that's kind of a reward after we get through the hard, the stuff that's not as much fun. We get through that, then it's like, okay, now you get to line up all of your stuffed animals and you can read to them, and that is what your free read time is. That so teaching her, all right, reading, you have to know how to read to your kid. You want to, so that's part of something you need when you grow older. If you want to cook, you got to learn how to measure. So that's math. Okay, you want to go to the grocery store and you want to budget, you need to learn your math. So adding in those things, and I think I learned a lot of that from you, just like natural, like you were saying, it's a natural thing. If we just kind of let life, happen, then it shows you. Things
I saw
happen.
you do it with her yesterday. So the girls were all playing a game yesterday where the girls were all back in my daughter's room. They share a room, and it's the last room at the end of the house. And we're in here in like the kitchen dining room space on the whole other end of the house. And so Cammie was coming out here, which was the store, to get stuff for her friends. And so she's going around collecting just random things that she can use, right, to take back there. And so she's collecting all of the things, and she came to you. You were the cashier.
Yes.
And she came to you, and she was like, okay, how much for all of this stuff? And you're like, okay, that's going to be $5, whatever. And then she hands you the pretend money, and you said, oh, you gave me a 10. How much change do I need to get back to you? And it's so funny because I don't think people give that enough credit. It's little things like that. And not that you can only do that with a special needs child, but it's just little things like that you do consistently. My kids count Jeeps. That's how we taught Virginia. We were in the car with us. That's how we taught Virginia how to count in the higher numbers. Mm-hmm. They have a clicker. And she loves to get to do it. We ordered it off of Amazon. It was like the most exciting thing ever. And when we're out, Lily loves Jeeps, so Lily always points them out to us. And Virginia counts the Jeeps. And so she gets, depending on how long we're in the car and how many, there's a lot of Jeeps out there. If you don't count Jeeps when you're out driving around, I don't think you realize how many there are. But we get up there and she's like, okay, so now, in the higher numbers, she's like, so there's an 8 and a 9. And I'm like, how many is that? 80, but it's little things like that when you just take, it's not even difficult, but I feel like it's so easy to overlook it. But you just take a little bit of time to be like, hey, but you handed me a 10. How much change do I need to give you? And stuff like that. It's a real life application. And so if you were to sit down and be like, hey, we're sitting down and doing math drills right now, I doubt you would have, maybe you would, but I doubt you would have gotten the same response you got yesterday when she was shopping in the store.
Absolutely.
And wanted to buy stuff. And then she grabbed a couple extra things. Mm-hmm. We used chili sauce packets as airheads. And because she wanted to get her friends a treat. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's going to be $3 more. Mm-hmm. Well, if I just got a 5 back and change and that's 3, then I'm getting $2 back, right? So like just those little things that you're doing. And there's math. It's all coming. And that's the stuff that I feel like is so much easier to truly commit to memory because you're using it.
Right.
Whereas if you just handed her a worksheet and said, hey, we're going to sit down and do math drills right now, I don't feel like it, in anybody's mind, really engages stuff the same.
Right.
I don't think.
And Cammie is a right brain learner. So her most of her brain damage is done to the left side of her brain. That means that everything on the right side is dominant. Mm-hmm. So that means that that's how Cammie learns. She's a creative learner. So that means that do I have to give her math drills to get her the core facts? Yes. And that's where, we use the extra math now. And you're not sitting there for 20 or 30 minutes.
It's quick.
She does a quick and she's memorizing, the simple math facts that, she needs to know. And then we do the fun math. And, and so Cammie enjoys math. So we don't spend as much on it just because she enjoys it, especially because we make it creative.
You know what I mean?
It's so effective.
Some people, they're like, well, that's it? That's all you do? And I'm like, yeah, that's all I do.
Well, something cool. So Selena is like me. Selena has a hard time. She struggles with remembering like addition really quickly. Like we can't add really quick in our heads because we are also creative learners. We don't visualize stuff as well as somebody else would with numbers. She can visualize other things like history and all those things, but in her mind, numbers are just,
everywhere.
So I had her start doing extra math, and she's like, "Mom, this is addition," and I'm like, "Just do it, please, just do it." So she's been doing it for about a month, and already like back on like, and it's just addition. And I'm not saying that she knows. I mean, she's in algebra. She does algebra for her normal stuff,
but to get those
math, and it makes her so confident. So
I want to do extra math drills for me because like I was in calculus and trigonometry and all the things, advanced classes. I did all of it, high school and college. I don't remember, like, you know what I mean? You don't use it and you lose it. And I watched my kids getting so good at it with the extra math drills, and I'm like, I need to set me up an account.
Right.
And sit down here and do this.
Absolutely. Like, I love it. I didn't think that little bit would help. But she's 14 and she's, and Cammie loves it. So, that's the other way so for me to have a break with Selena, I put Cammie on the computer for 2 subjects. So she does typing and she does math on the computer. And in that little bit of time, that also gives me time to help Selena.
Yeah.
So that's another way that I juggle too,
Oh, is there a camera out here? She sees it. Whenever she sees a camera or my stand, she starts going, cheese. So if you could go back and tell yourself something, or what are the biggest thing that you really, wish you could have told yourself at the beginning of your journey and all of this, what do you think it would be?
Keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Focus on what they need to live a life.
Yeah.
To live life, what are they going to actually need? Not focusing on how pretty is it, how Instagram worthy is it, all of the things. Because I like to do pictures. I do photography somewhat, so I'm like, I got to make it beautiful. It's got to be pretty. I got to be able to take a video of it and show everybody. But it's really not about that. It's really about how are they doing, and how can I make you through? How can I help you thrive? If that means taking away a few things in that moment, don't get caught up in the legal part, because that scared me all the time. Like getting caught up in the legal stuff, and Selena's in high school, so it's like, oh my gosh, the transcript's gotta look a certain way, all of the things.
Yeah.
So just not focusing on the worldly part of it, focusing on what do I need to equip my children to thrive in life, to be confident women of the Lord, and helping them in not just academics, but all the things that come along with it. It's really cool because every time, what helped me, this was something I had thought about. So oftentimes you think about, I heard about the whole study done. If you leave a child after you give birth, if you leave a child, they'll eventually navigate themselves up to your breast to feed.
Yeah.
And I think that education is the same way.
I do too.
I literally think it's the same way. I think that if you just let them, am I saying not ever school your children at all? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying
don't engage your children, just leave them in the room and they'll be scholars.
Yeah, just put them in front of TV. Yeah, no. Just naturally do what, let them do what they do,
Learning is everywhere. And I think people discredit it.
1 second.
Yeah, baby. Cheese.
You had to get a close-up.
Yeah.
You needed a close-up.
But learning is everywhere, and I think it's easy to discredit and not trust the process. She's going to go right back for it. Look behind me. I was going to say something, then I got the baby, and I don't remember what it was.
Was it about the whole breastfeeding or natural rhythm?
I was thinking something like that. I don't know what it was. Yeah. You're distracting with your little things going on over here. It was okay. So I said, what were you thinking? You go back and tell yourself, like, oh, that was what I was going to say. See, I got there. I think giving up on things, sometimes it's easy to get all the pretty things, all the really cute things, all the really fun things that are great things. There's nothing wrong with them. But sometimes you have to just stop and say, just because it's pretty, just because it's cute. Yes, that's your brother. Just because you spent money on it or invested a bunch of time in putting it together doesn't mean you have to do it. And it's okay to be like,
Absolutely.
You know what, it's not working out. Never
I spent
mind.
way too much money on trying to find all the cool curriculums and all the things that, I thought would be super fun, when in reality, just like today, they brought in some acorns.
Yeah.
There's your math.
Yeah.
Give them some dice, some little just regular dice, and have them roll them and count and add the acorns together. I mean, and that didn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
And
they loved them.
Yeah.
That's why when you brought them, I was like, how Montessori are you?
They love them because it's something cool. There, there's a little bit of science there, and then there's a little bit of math, and there's a game. So it doesn't have to be. And Kimmy's not a textbook person anyway. Selena likes it, but I think that comes from being in public school for so long. She needs that, that, I don't know, that structure, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but it's been, taking away stuff is what has helped in general with Kimmy, keeping it simple for her, not overloading her. Because if you overload them,
it's just too much.
And then they don't like to learn.
Down, yeah.
Oh, she definitely did. The first year, it was like, oh my gosh, because I was trying to fit in nature time and journal time and copy work and all the things, and it was not.
And then that's a bad place for you. It's a bad place for them. Your poor husband comes home and is like, what the heck is going on?
Right.
Like, everybody's mad. Everybody's cranky. Like, this is crazy. What are we doing? That's amazing. And that's where I was so glad, you guys have to go. I'll link it down below, but you have to go follow Sherry. She's on Instagram and here on YouTube, starting to share just little blips and pieces of just your family, your walk. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. And I think it's great to see, because there's a fine line, I think, between following other families that are similar to your family, what you're dealing with, for fellowship and encouragement, and then getting caught in that, well, that's how they do it.
Right.
Why doesn't what our day looks like, what theirs is? And it has to be the same. And then you get into that comparison trap, and then you're overwhelmed, and it's like a whole disaster. Mm-hmm. So and that's where I think since I've known you, you're very intentional with encouragement, fellowship. Right. It's not about us. It's not about this is how we do it, so you need to do it like us, or everything's perfect, it all goes this way, type of an idea. Because I think it is definitely a fine line that we can easily get caught up in.
Oh, yeah.
All of us. It's a hard one to check yourself constantly.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to bring your kid down a level. Yeah. So, like, for the Heavenly Minded curriculum, I brought Kimmy down to the lower level to start, because it's new. It's new for us. And she loves it. I mean, I don't know if you guys, when you use it, but it's also like comprehension things, like special needs kids, you need to keep making sure that they're constantly learning how to comprehend things. And that's a practice. That's something that they have to practice doing. And just by hearing those little, excerpts from the Bible, or like a little verse or whatever, and then hearing that little verse and then going back and saying, hey, what did we talk about? Like, what did we just talk about? What did Jesus walk on? So
I think that's really cool. We've done that before too. I think I did a video on it like forever ago, but we did that with Travis because he was really struggling with reading and writing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we're just going to bring you back down a level. Yeah. And I'd much rather go down a little bit and let you really build up some confidence, because he struggles with dyslexia. Mm-hmm. So we're like, let's go ahead and pull you down, really let you get really strong in that area, and then continue back on. And so even when sometimes he's like, Mom, this is easy, I know this. I'm like, I know you know this. Show me how easy it is, right? So then he would plow through it, and he's like, that was easy. And I'm like, see, and you see those confidence things starting to come back up. And it's like, see, you've got this. You're good.
Yeah. Kimmy also is dyslexic too, but that also could partially be due to the fact that her left side of her brain is messed up. But I will say this, 60% is her growth this year. Yeah. Minimalist, taking away things, she's increased 60% of her, because she goes to therapy as well, for an hour or 2 hours total a week. And they just got done testing her, and she has increased by 60% of her grade level. So that is magnificent. That's for amazing. Me to see that and be like, I took away things. Yeah. We're taking away things, but here she is even halfway through thriving. The school year yet, right? Like, and here she is thriving. So, and it's so cool. So, I mean, I'm like, that is proof right there that you don't have to force all the things down their throat.
Yeah.
You just need to let them, thrive in their natural state, and it's okay. And I think that a lot of times we get caught up. I think that's the problem for special needs parents. We get caught up on the grade level because all the moms want to know, well, what grade level, public school. One of the things that bugs me the most about it is it's the way that they this kid made 100 on every single test. Why is it that you can't do that? And then they get caught up in that, and then there's this whole thing, and it just, that kind of stuff gets under my skin, because then you have to change the whole mindset of the kid and all the things. Difficult. And then the parents are you see the parents and I'm not saying it's all public school parents by any means at all, but they get caught up in, my kid made 100 on a test. My kid, did this, and they share those things about their kid because that's what they're proud of. But let's talk about everyday things that we're proud of. That is what, so.
It's a hard line, and that is something Travis ended up with really bad anxiety in kindergarten. He would come home crying to the point that he was vomiting and he got hundreds on everything.
Right.
But he was so nervous that he might mess up and disappoint his teacher that it made him sick. And so when we do stuff, I grade nothing. She's trying to climb back up on the table. So that's why for us, I put no grades on anything. We don't.
Right. You don't grade anything.
Because for him, it just gives him great anxiety over this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I'm super excited though, because this is a conversation I've wanted to have for a while, just because I know we have so many just amazing families that in kind of our core viewership that have special needs kids and deal with different things. And like I said, I think many of these things definitely apply and would be helpful. Which is cool to hear you talk about it. 'Cause I'm okay, good. It does work for you guys in that way. But I think it's great to have you to be able to share just from that aspect and what you deal with. And you guys do. I'll link all of her stuff down below because I just love you guys. And then you guys can go and, I think it's nice to have other moms that you can reach out to that are dealing with stuff and having to make adjustments and figure it all out. But you're not going to come at anyone in a way that isn't honoring Christ, looking at the truth of these things, down to the basics and the simplicity, and things of that nature. So anyways, that's our fun special guest appearance. I didn't know what we were going to title this, so on the bulletin for church, I just put special guest, because I'm I don't know what we're going to title it yet. I didn't have it quite figured out in my head, but I'm super excited we got to do this, and I'm sure we will have more in the future, because my kids already have decided that we are going to kidnap you guys and force you to be here all of the time.
We love it here, you guys. If you haven't made it,
you got to come visit us. So we're down with them today, showing them our barn, and I think we're this close to being decided that we're going to turn it into a church building. So
it's beautiful.
That'll be so much fun. So anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Hopefully that helps in, like I said, just a chance of encouragement and fellowship and opening the discussion up. So if this is a situation that you're also in, we'd love to hear from you in the comments, and just, things that you've tried that work, or, maybe Sherry's given you some ideas that might be.
Yeah, I'm still open to ideas.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
Always open to ideas. And then, of course, if you guys have any prayer requests or anything like that, just check out the description box. I've got all the info in there so we can lift you guys up in prayer, because I know there's so many families dealing with so much, and it can be very heavy, very overwhelming, very alienating, and regardless of what end of the spectrum you're dealing with, there's a lot of that. So if there's any way that we can help and serve you and your family, please reach out and let us know. But otherwise, we will be vlogging through our homeschool week this week. My husband's got some cool Bible studies. We've got some kind of hot topic podcasts I know that are coming out. We haven't recorded them yet, but they're on the docket to work on, and then some fun church stuff. So all the stuff, it's all linked down in the box so you guys can check it out. If I said I was going to link something and then did not, just remind me in the comments, because it's really difficult sometimes to remember what I said I was going to link, and then I go to upload it late in the night after I've done all the things, and I'm did I get everything? I'm sure I did. Yeah, I don't always. So just tell me. You can totally at any point be like, Heidi, you said you would link such and such, and that does not exist. Yeah. Because that happens. So bye guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you all next time.